You get 8 points of very crisp answers that you can use them directly in your answer copy. So you don't have to apply your brain as such. You just read them, assimilate them, understand them, and reproduce them as it is in your copy, and they will fetch you marks 110%. Suppose there's a question on unemployment. Now you have limited points over that. To fill the space, you will need a smart art. So what you do is you make a hub and spoke model, okay, and take out 8. Always on unemployment, there is most likely one question on inflation/unemployment is always there. So even if you were to somehow rote learn these 8 points and reproduce 6 of them, even that will be done for you. Your answer is done for. You have written an excellent answer if you can write 6 crisp points under the clauses of unemployment. Thing is that if there was something static that was to come into the examination, it will come from here only. It will come from these topics only. And if you have prepared on even one page and notes on these topics, you are very well suited for the examination. You don't just rote learn those 8 points. You try to develop an understanding. Okay, why is the female labor participation? Once you are able to understand it in 5-6 different perspectives, that will immediately give you a relative advantage over one who's just coming by rote learning something, or who's seeing the question for the first time and can't think beyond 3 to 4 dimensions. So as you can see, these are a few topics that we have to cover in the syllabus. These are issues relating to planning, mobilization of resources, growth, development, and employment. Then there's inclusive growth. Then there's Indian economy, the recent budget, the economic survey, how's the banking sector in India performing, what are the money and capital markets performing, how's the infrastructure development in India, what are the initiatives, etc. taken, what is the India's industrial policy and what are the ramifications of it, and the global economic institutions. These are the 10 broad topics that we have to cover from a notes perspective to not be blindsided by any question in the examination which others are not being blindsided by. So what we have to ensure is we are not at a relative disadvantage in the main paper. For that, we have to prepare these 10 topics very, very comprehensively to ensure that even if any bouncer question comes that is not from these 10, it is for all of them, because nobody can prepare very, very comprehensive notes in economy. As I said, in GS3, agriculture and internal security are the only 2 topics in which you can prepare very comprehensive notes and very exhaustive notes from which you can exactly replicate in your examination paper. So we'll look topic by topic how we can use these notes to make our answers look better. So see what these notes are doing. These are issues relating to planning, mobilization of resources, growth, development, and employment. So what they have given is, in the beginning itself, they have given a lot of PYQs to give you a broader understanding of how these PYQs can help in, predicting and understanding what the UPSC question, etc. actually demands. So for this, you can see, like, these are the major topics of issues of planning, mobilization of resources, growth, development, and employment. So you can use you should be writing these questions and their model answers to develop a comprehensive understanding of whether the notes you have prepared are able to answer these questions or not. These questions should be answered after you prepare your notes and after you have revised them, so that when you try to write the answers of these questions, you have a very nuanced and elaborate perspective of what you are missing from an answer. So that is very important. So now if you see, first topic is the national income accounting. So see, if there's a question on what is the significance or what is national income accounting analyze. So when the question of this sort comes, first of all you have to address what is national income accounting. Then you have to tell what are the challenges of national income accounting. Then you have to tell what is the way forward of how we can improve, what are the challenges of national income accounting. So what happens is, especially in this phase between the pre and the mains phase, in which we have not prepared a very comprehensive set of notes and not developed our thinking as well, we tend to be very challenged by how to use a particular set of notes for our advantage. So I'll try to explain this here. Instead of making your own notes and wasting time in that kind of effort, what you can do is you can use these notes directly and start writing answers, which will ensure that you use these points in your answers to make your own answer. And if you're somehow missing some of these points, then you can highlight these points in your PDF, and then when you try to revise them next time, because you already know what you know, so when you are highlighting these, you'll know what you don't know. So these notes will directly help you in understanding what is exactly in the economics national income accounting topic that you are missing. So these are direct substitute of your own notes because of paucity of time, which you can use directly, and these are very good notes as well. You can see the first head or subhead, they have already given significance of national income accounting yeah, along with the good intro. So these are kind of topic wise model answers as well, which you can directly replicate in your answers. They have given it in the point format, as I was saying. Methods of calculating, if you can see, if I was to say significance of national income accounting is it helps in computing core measures, then it helps government in policy formation, it helps in welfare planning, it helps in sectoral analysis, it helps in accentuating living standards as well. You know how, if there's proper accounting, you know what are the actual living standards in the country, then you can make a cross country comparison, you can make investment decisions, you can use it for employment and inflation calculation. So if you are to broadly see, these all points are very comprehensively addressed in this PDF. You can think on these lines and you can generate answer on any point, on any topic. See, if you can think on comparison point of view, investment point of view, inflation and employment point of view, sectoral point of view, then these kind of things will help you in making your answer full of points and very multi-dimensional. So you have to ensure that you use this PDF very, very wisely. Then you have what are the challenges. Now there must be some challenges in the national income accounting. Some are the data is not accurate, sometimes there's double counting, then there's black money issue where parallel economies are there, then there are environmental blind spots, depreciation estimation is often looked over, then there's quality of growth that's not focused, then there's non-monetized sector, non-market activities, and you have the methods of calculation, the income method, the expenditure method, and the production method. Same for the GDP. Say there's a question, what is GDP analyzed? Its significance in India's growth story, or in its significance in understanding how the different GS3 calculation mechanisms are affecting. So in that you can use these notes directly. Say there are changes, what are the recent changes? Now you don't have to go anywhere to focus on what are the exact changes I need to. They have written this big article on what are the changes introduced, then you have to make 1 2 3 4 points out of it for your own benefit. They have done it already for you. What you have to do is you have to use these notes very nicely to use them in your answer as it is, to make your point in the answer copy. So if you are to see what are the recent changes that were introduced in the GDP calculation. First, there was a new base year. Then the CPI and IIP were rebased from 2020 to 2024. Then the GST and PFMS data were widely used for central government. Then we had the E-Vahan and ASUSE. Okay. Then we have the refined deflation, the SUT framework, supply and use table framework. Then we have the platform economy, in which the intermediary platform and the gig workers are comprehensively analyzed for and talked about. Then they have the direct state estimate. So if you are able to see, if you write these 8 points in your answer is done for. You are very well suited to write a very good answer if you are able to do these notes thoroughly. Now you must, what are the reasons that these changes are happening? So that also these notes are very well covering, that you have to capture the transformation, you have to ensure that what is the post COVID normal, then the reduced proxy reliance on the indicators, like we can use the indicators like GST and all rather than the proxy indicators that we were using earlier. Then we can harness digitization, then we can set the global standards, then we have the emerging sectors that were not earlier accounted for, which were earlier marginal, but they now play a very significant role in our economy. So what we can do is we can use these sectors if we were to update the GDP calculation, we can use these sectors very comprehensively in the national income accounting, in the GDP calculation. Then there are the informal sector gaps, then there's quarterly consistency. Then these notes also tell you the major criticisms of what there are. So often there is growth overestimation, then there's investment contradiction, MCA 21 concerns, then there's tax mismatch, then there's informal measurement, then there's transparency gap. If you were to see, you get 8 points of very crisp answers that you can use them directly in your answer copy. You don't have to apply your brain as such, you just read them, assimilate them, understand them, and reproduce them as it is in your copy, and they will fetch you marks 110%. So you have to ensure that you have one-stop source, which can be this one, where you can use these kind of notes to enhance your answer quality. Don't run behind making your own notes at this point, especially for the mains 2026 aspirants. Try to replicate these in your answers. study them, assimilate them, and then reproduce them. If you what you don't reproduce, highlight them, revise them, again reproduce them in your answers. That is the process of how you improve for an answer. Okay, so what is the way forward? We have to revise the base, then we have to introduce people, PPI, publish sources and methods, strengthen state capacity, institutionalize updation, independent commissions, real-time data, and beyond GDP. We have to look at beyond GDP. So these are a few way forward that we can use. Apart from that, these are certain pre-specific data which you can use as value addition in your answer copy. See, say if you were to give introduction here, then you can write GDP MP is equal to C plus I plus G plus X minus M, and box it and show to the examiner that you are knowledgeable in this regard. This will help you fetch marks. So you can use these tables as well to accentuate your marks. Okay. Then you have the alternatives to the GDP. Then you have the topic of potential GDP. So they have covered it very comprehensively, very nicely. You can do that. Okay. And we have the savings rate. What is savings rate? So if there was a question on savings rate or related to savings rate, why is there decrease in savings rate in India as such, or increase in saving rates? So you can use this formula directly as a value addition in your answer just after the introduction to show to the examiner that you are very well aware of what saving rate formula is, and you are technically aware. You're not just making things up, you are technically aware of the things in the question. So that is very helpful. So here you have data as well. What is the data? The decline in gross domestic savings fell from 34.6 to 27.7. Then you have the household saving dominance, that households contributed to 62% with and non-financial corporations only 29%. Then you have the financialization. Then the deposit shift from household saving fell towards 35 to 40% as markets gained. So that reflects a contrary perspective. And what are the reasons for decline? We have to look at these also. What are the reasons for decline? So one part is what you have to think. When you think, you will try to figure things out that okay, these might be the reasons, but now there's not that much of a time. You only have 55 days for left for the examination. So I would say you can rely comprehensively on notes like these to make your understanding much broader and much specific. And again, I'll say this, write as much as you can. Don't just rely on rote learning these notes. Wrote them and then write them and then see what you're missing out. Okay. There's rising household debt, inflation, erosion, post-pandemic spending is increasing. Then we have low rate environment, then there easier credit. And what is the impact? C8 impacts and the way forward. So these are topics. Just like unemployment is a very, very favorite topic of UPSC. Now, for topics like these, you have to have a very broad, comprehensive understanding. And it is the ideal thing is you should read a lot of text, you should read a lot of materials. But now is not the time for that. Now you can comprehensively rely on these notes to see they have given a data table here as well. You can directly use this data table in your answers, in your table, in your question paper, in your answer sheet, to make a point, to use these notes to and to make an impact on the examiner that you are well versed with data as well. So we'll try to make this happen. Now you have the core understanding part. What is the type of employment? Frictional unemployment, structural, cyclical, season, disguise, unemployment, voluntary. So how to use this, I'll tell you. See, suppose there's a question on unemployment. Now you have limited points over that. To fill the space, you'll need a smart art. So what you do is, you make a hub and spoke model, okay, and take out 8. Okay, and now you can write types of unemployment, and then frictional, structural, cyclical, disguised, underemployment, seasonal, voluntary, and chronic. Now this alone would make such an impact on the examiner that okay, this guy knows what he's talking about, and this will really help you get marks in the main paper. So this is how you can use these notes directly in your answer copy. Again, suppose the methodology is asked. Even if methodology is not asked, you are just asked how India computes unemployment. So what you can do is you can use methods after the intro and bring out 6 points to use it as a smart art, and after the intro, and this will definitely make an impact and cover up for the vacant space in your answer, and it will also add in making 6 additional points in your answer. So that you have to ensure that these notes are used in this way format, not just content but for value addition as well. That is what I'm talking about. So now, way forward in methodology, like use big data. How can we improve our methodology? So we can use big data, we can include underemployment, we can use higher frequency to conduct data collection very frequently, then we can have timely releases. We can also align them with ILO and SNA, the standard sources, and align them that to have a global standing as well. So these are the things. Now here again you have 8 crisp points on what are the causes of unemployment. Always on unemployment there is most likely one question on inflation / unemployment is always there. So even if you were to somehow rote learn these 8 points and reproduce 6 for them, 6 of them even, that will be done for you. Your answer is done for you. Have written an excellent answer if you can write 6 crisp points under the causes of unemployment rate. So use these notes in this way. Use them to directly rote learn for your own sake, to develop an understanding instead of running after big texts, 200 pages just on unemployment. Use these for to make your life easier. Okay, so what are the causes of unemployment? There's jobless growth. The services use only under 30% of the workforce only is employed. And then we have the population growth. Then we have the technological change, automation ho raha hai. Then we have the capital intensive bias where investment flows to IT and these kind of industry rather than labor intensive industry, what India actually is. Then we have the skill deficit. Only, as we said, only 50% of the graduates, yes, about half of the graduates are employable as per India skills report. Weak machine manufacturing, informal employment, female workforce deficit. So these are 8 very different, very crisp points that you can use directly in your answers. Then you can also make a subhead there. What are the impacts of unemployment? Then there's lower potential GDP, per capita suppression, welfare burden, dividend to trap, urban pressure, rising inequality. As you can see, they have given you the core points that you have to use before the substantiation, or you can substantiate every point. You have to try to substantiate every point, but it is very difficult to substantiate every point. So we'll try to substantiate as much point as possible by using data like this: 8 to 9% growth, 17%, and this, and the data we have seen earlier. But what is important is to understand that examiner wants you to answer the question from different angles, and for this is a very brilliant source. Okay, now jobless growth ke liye arguments for and against you can use this directly, and you can also use government initiatives in substantiation which are very well given here, like the MG Narega, the eShram portal, the Swanidhi, the Vishwakarma Day, NRLM, VBRY, the internship, and this, directly quote them in your copies. When you use them directly, they will give a beauty to your answer. They will help you answer these questions very comprehensively and will help you understand what exactly is required for the question as well. This will help you make the point what you're trying to make easier as well. So we'll try to do this also. Now, what can we do to better employment generation as well? So we can go for labor intensive manufacturing. As we said, use the challenges as way forward. Strengthen MSMEs. You can do scaling and apprenticeship. Then you can go for non-farm rural jobs. Then you can go for digital and green jobs. Then you can implement the labor codes stringently. Use verbs before them. Okay. Urban employment guarantees, strengthen data systems. And again, whenever you are quoting these points, substantiate with these schemes. Just strengthening PMKY, KVY 4.0, leveraging NAPS 2.0. इस तरह से you have to go on using the schemes as a substantiation points to make your argument solid. That is what we will do in economy questions. Now, again, a favorite question of UPSC comes on the FLFPR. Female labor force participation rate. Okay. Now, simply they have given the introduction as well. Is the ratio of labor force to women of working age. Then you have the facts that you can use as substantiators, or as I said in the smart art as well, you can use them. So it stood at 40%. Then women participate. Worker population ratio was 38.8%, then unemployment. What you can do is you can make some short notes out of these, like LFPR 40% 2025, WPR 38.8% 2025, rural 44.8. Just data sheet that I was earlier referring to, that you will carry into the examination on the day of the examination, when you have half an hour, 1 hour before the paper. So you will be revising these data, because there will come a point when you will be able to make these points after enough practice, but you can't remember the substantiation of each point. That becomes very, very necessary in itself. So we'll try to make a short data sheet from this document, like 40%, 38% for each data point, that we will use progressively in our answers. So we'll try to work on that. Then we'll see the factors that are there, then the significance, major constraints, way forward. So these documents provide a very comprehensive understanding in this regard. Then we have the gig economy as well. This is also a very one favorite area. Now you can see there are a lot of areas. If I were to just give you an overview, see, there's the gig economy, then there's labor law reforms, then there's informalization of the economy. Thing is that if there was something static that was to come into the examination, it will come from here only. It will come from these topics only. And if you are prepared on even one page of notes on these topics, you are very well suited for the examination. If you can see, there are a lot of topics, and every one of them is equally probable of coming. There is no, you can guess whether this will come or not. In economy especially, any of these topics come. So what is more important is to develop a broader understanding of, say, why is the female labor participation low. So we showed 8 points. Now you don't just learn those 8 points, you try to develop an understanding, okay, why is the female labor participation low. Once you are able to understand it in 5-6 different perspectives, that will immediately give you a relative advantage over one who's just coming by rote learning something, or who's seeing the question for the first time and can't think beyond 3 to 4 dimensions. So this is what we have to do. We have to use these notes to develop our understanding, so that whenever a question of similar sort comes into the examination, we can use our own points, our own understanding, molding them into the what is the demand of the question, and forming an answer with a good number of points in the paper. That is what we have to do.